locals walking across the road, so Porsche fitted peasant shifting horns. Now I did say peasant shifting, not pheasant shifting. It's getting the bloody life out of it, didn't me?
Si sa, noi del sud parliamo a voce alta, si sa, noi del sud facciamo discussione imposta, siamo allergici alle strisce, di restare in fila non ci riesce neanche ai funerali. Si sa, noi del sud leggiamo libri a stento, si sa, noi del sud collezioniamo caffè a scrocco, imbattibili nel lancio di parole dai balconi, siamo tesserati al club delle comari.
Peasant shifters. Shall we rebuild some? A targa floor hazard is always the threat of finding locals walking across the road, so Porsche fitted peasant shifting horns. So we're going to rebuild some peasant shifting horns. In a sort of silly, sort of jokey way, but it's always stuck with me, the peasant shifters. So that's what I call horns, so there we go. There we are. So we've got a compressor, we'll start with that. So that's the body of the compressor, all been nicely powder coated. And then we've got to get these bits in. These little studs hold the armature and so on in, or the magnets. Now one of these was so rusted away, I had to make a new one. So yeah, I just turned that up on the lathe, but yeah, you can see the state it was in. The whole thing was seized up. I mean, well, it would be, wouldn't it, if that was like that. So there we go, so that's that. We want to get this built, don't we? So we want to remember which way around it goes. That's going to go on there, which means our earth cable's going to come out of here. So we want that to go in like that, to allow our earth cable to come out in about the right place. That pops in there like that, and then we'll get our studs in here, get them started. And they want to pop down through here, go into there, and that'll do. That one goes like that. Right, and then we can get our armature popped in. So we want a bit of grease on this, just down on here where it's going to run through the bearings. So pop a bit on there. Let's get that sorted. That pops in there like that. There we go, that's that bit. Right. Now we want to get this bit in. Now this has got to connect up to our live here, so we've got to get that one done up. So that's got to pop in there like that. We want a bit of grease on the end here. There's a little ball bearing goes to the end of that. That's stood in there. Luckily, that hasn't fallen out, so we'll be all right. So we'll just put a bit of that around it. Bit of grease on there. And right, so we've got to remember that's the cutout for the earth, so that's got to end up there. And that's our live, that's got to pop in here. So you can see that's got to be tucked up in there. And then we've got to do that up. So we'll pop that in there like that, best we can. Right, there you go. Just nip that up. Right, there you are, that's all right. Now you've got to get these studs through, and then that's got to start in its little casing, in its little housing, the bearing. Got a little bronze bush in there that it goes into. Now where's that going? Is that going to line up? Yeah, that's it, that's on. So that's done. That's that bit. That's our earth wire. Right, we just get the top, this bit done. Just get our washers on. Got a couple of little brass washers here. Use a touch of grease on these again because we don't want these seizing up. Well, they're brass, so they're not too bad. Luckily, you know, I was able to get that one out of it. But you know, so they're not too bad. But put a bit of grease on them helps, doesn't it? Then we know it's going to be all right. So pop that in there. Nip them up. Right. We'll want to put the outlet in. We'll put a tiny bit of Loctite on that just to seal the threads. That's what's going to go on our pipe work up to our horns, or trombi. Now, I did say peasant shifting, not pheasant shifting. But anyway, right. So we've got our brushes to go in, and these are all right. They're not, they're not too worn at all. I mean, plenty of life in them, isn't there? But I suppose it doesn't run that often, does it? Because you think about it, you're only pushing the horn when you're pushing the horn, aren't you? Even on the Targa Floria, you probably don't have to have it that often on the go, do you? I think on race day everyone knows what you're doing, but pre that they'll be practicing on open roads with the public on it. So say, watch the films about it. It's quite illuminating what went on. So that's them in there like that. Just put a little cap in, that's done. Now we've got to get the pump in. That's our pump. Now this runs much like an oil pump. These little veins fly out as it goes round, which is what's going to blow the air around effectively. So as I say, it's a lot of oil pumps are set up like this. So you can see it's sort of off centre when it sits in its housing. See, like that? And then the veins will fly out as you need them. But yeah, you get the idea. So that goes in like that. Now what we've got to remember with that is what's going to drive it. Now all that relies on is just that bit there. You see that little hole? So you've got to pop that bearing in there. If you don't put that ball bearing in there, it won't drive it round. So that's got to just sit in there and live in there like that. And that holds it in place. And that's that bit. Got a little gauze for the air, goes in here, pops in there, and then there we can get the top on. So we want to get this lined up. So that's going to obviously line up with that lot. And then that's our little oil hole, so our oil goes in here. And speaking of which, we've got our proper oil. So you've got a little Fiamm oil, we've got a proper little oil can. So dear little thing, isn't it? So yeah, I think it's just hydraulic oil really, but we'll give this a little bit of oil before we assemble it. And then, yeah, that'll make it run nice, won't it? So we'll do that first. And then we'll pop these in. Well, we just want a bit of grease on these, say, on the threads so they don't seize up. I've had all these replated, all these screws, they're done nicely. So it'd be a shame having them seize up in there, wouldn't it? If you're ever fitting anything, you always fit all the bolts to it before you do any of them up. Otherwise, what will happen is you try to do it up, and next one along will be slightly out of line. Now that's something my dad taught me when I was quite young actually, when I was mucking around with something, and he said, no, you want to do it, do this. Don't do the first one up. Get them all started in place so you can move the housing around and then do them up. I can't for the life of me remember what I was actually working on, but it was something or other. And I was quite young. And there's our little oil cap. Dear little thing, isn't it? So we'll just pop that in. And then that's if we want to oil it. And you got your little oil tin, your little Fiamm oil. You can just use a bit of that in there, can't you? That's popped in there. That's done. So we rebuilt it. That's our compressor rebuilt. It's all right, isn't it? So we'll get I'll get a jump pack over here and we'll just run it up, make sure it does work. So I've just got to wire it up to there, see what it's like, see if it passes air. And if it does, then they're going to sound, aren't they? But we've got to put them together yet. Test this, see what we got. So that's our earth, wasn't it? So let's connect our earth up. And then I've just put a little live wire on it. And then, yeah, this should just fire up, shouldn't it? So there you go. So yeah, so we put something in front of that. We can show that it works, can't we? There you go. It's moving plenty of air, so which is what we need. So yeah, that's good. First bit of it done. Now we look at the trombi. These actually need painting, but for the purposes of what we're doing, I thought we'd just do a bit of fun and assemble them. Right, let's get these together. So these work via the air. Obviously the air is going to go in here, and then we have the little thing that oscillates in there effectively, which is what causes the vibration, which is causing the actual noise that come out the horn. So these are the little pieces that we got to go in there. So these will oscillate around. So let's Look and see how these go. So we've got a little gasket there. Then I think that pops in there like that. I've got some dirt on that. There you go. Right, that'll go like that. And then that pops on there like that, which will trap it in there with a little gasket. And then with them painted, they go in a lovely red colour. They're going to look quite something. You know, they'll be bright enough and loud enough without actually having to sound, as it were. But there we are. And there we are. Let's just put a bit of grease on that. I know we'll have to clean it off because we've got to paint it, but let's not have it, you know, binding up as we go. It looks like it actually touches, doesn't it? It looks like you adjust that down till it physically touches. But let's see. We'll find out about that in a minute, won't we? How adjusted we need to get it. So I think what we'll do, we want a little bit of pipe work, don't we, on this? So we want to connect this up to the air. What we could do, we could test it with the airline, couldn't we? Just to begin with. So if I get the airline out before we connect it up to that, just to sort of see what we're looking at, give us a rough idea, won't it, of what we're dealing with. Right, so we probably want a bit more than that, don't we? Oh, there you go. That was it, wasn't it? So you can obviously alter the tone by that, can't you? Anyway, that's enough of that because I'm going deaf now. But there you are. That's going to work, isn't it? That'll shift some peasants, won't it? It's getting the bloody life out of them. It did me. Here we are. Pop that on there. That on there. Let's get it up to our jump pack. Get our earth on. There you go. As I said. Oh dear, simple things and simple minds, eh? I can't help it. Right. Yeah, I think we'll think about doing something else. But yeah, that works, doesn't it? That's good. I think that's all right. So, if not enough daft stuff going on already, here's my little sign. So this would light up, and you know, you if you was going in your sort of spare shop or motor factors, that type of thing in Italy, yeah, they'd have this hanging up, it'd be illuminated, and you could buy the Roadmaster, which is what we're dealing with here, or the Mercury, which is the other type of horn they had. They also did batteries and things, you know, as well. So yeah, it's their it's the bit of period advertising, but it's yeah, lovely. I picked that up in Padova a couple of years ago. It's great, you know. Yeah, I just, you know, I sort of can't help myself really. It's all this stuff, but yeah, I'm going to get it lit up, and I really ought to try and fix it up a bit. Although I don't really know what to do with it, so the old plastic's gone, isn't it? But yeah, that come home with me. I couldn't leave it in Padova. I had to come back. But yeah, that's what we do. All these old things, these Maseratis and stuff, and the Ferraris of the period use these. Even the Dinos use a version of it. So it's yeah, it was just a fun thing to have. But yeah, yes, it's. I know it's a bit childish, but there we are. Anyway, right.